1. During a phishing incident investigation, you discover an attacker has established persistence using a scheduled task named Windows Update that executes a PowerShell script. What is the most effective immediate remediation step? A. Disable the Windows Task Scheduler service. B. Delete the scheduled task and analyze the PowerShell script for additional indicators. C. Rename the scheduled task to prevent execution. D. Block PowerShell execution across the entire network. 2. While analyzing network traffic during an incident, you observe repeated DNS queries to algorithmically generated domain names. This pattern is most indicative of which type of malicious activity. A. DNS tunneling for data exfiltration. B. Domain generation algorithm DGA for C2 communication. C. DNS amplification DDoS attack. D. DNS cache poisoning attempt. 3. An incident handler discovers that an attacker used Mimikatz to extract credentials from LSAS memory. Which Windows security feature, if enabled, would have best prevented this attack? A. Windows Defender Application Control AC. B. Credential Guard. C. BitLocker encryption. D. User account control. 4. During forensic analysis of a compromised system, you find a file with an alternate data stream, ADS. What is the primary reason an attacker would use this technique? To compress malicious files and save disk space. B. To hide malicious content from standard file listings and security tools. C. To encrypt files for ransomware deployment. D. To improve malware execution speed. 5. You are responding to a ransomware incident where files have been encrypted with the extension .locked. What should be your first priority action? A. Attempt to decrypt the files using available tools. B. Isolate affected systems from the network to prevent spread. C. Pay the ransom to recover critical data. D. Restore files from backup immediately. 6. While investigating a web application compromise, you discover the attacker exploited a SQL injection vulnerability. Which log source would provide the most valuable information about the attack? A. Windows event logs. Web application firewall WAF logs. CDNS query logs. D-mail gateway logs. 7. An attacker has gained initial access to your network through a spear phishing email. According to the cyber kill chain model, what is the next stage the attacker will typically attempt? Weaponization. B. Installation. C. Command and control. D. Actions on objectives. 8. You discover that an attacker has created a local administrator account named Support on multiple systems. What is this technique called in the MITRE ATT&CK framework? A. Valid accounts, 78. B. Account manipulation, T1098. C. Create account, 21136. D. Pass the hash, T50.002. 9. During incident response, you need to preserve volatile memory from a running system. Which data collection order follows the correct order of volatility? A. Hard drive, swap file, RAM, network connections. B. RAM, network connections, running processes, hard drive. C. Network connections, RAM, hard drive, swap file. Running processes, hard drive, RAM, network connections. 10. An incident handler observes that an attacker is using living off the land techniques. What does this mean? A. The attacker is using only open source tools. B. The attacker is using legitimate system tools and processes for malicious purposes. C. The attacker is physically present in the facility. D. The attacker is using zero-day exploits. 11. You detect lateral movement in your network, where an attacker is using pexec to move between systems. Which Windows log would best capture this activity? A. Security log event ID 4624, successful logon with logon type 3. B. System log event ID 7045, service installation. C. Application log event ID 1000, application error. D. PowerShell operational log event ID 4104. 12. During a forensic investigation, you need to create a bit-by-bit copy of a hard drive. What is this process called? A. Logical backup. B. Forensic imaging. File level copy. D. System snapshot. 13. An attacker has deployed a web shell on your Apache web server. Where would you most likely find evidence of this web shell? A's. PICERL only. B. In the webroot directory e.g. varha html cmot apache.conf. Id auth log only. 14. During an incident investigation, you discover the attacker used WMI, Windows Management Instrumentation, for persistence. Which WMI component would you examine to find malicious persistence mechanisms? A. WMI event filters and event consumers. B. MI performance counters. CMI query language syntax. DMI service configuration only. 15. An incident response team member suggests implementing a honeypot in the network. What is the primary purpose of this security control? A. To prevent all unauthorized access to the network. B. To detect, deflect, or study unauthorized access attempts. C. To encrypt sensitive data at rest. D. To provide secure remote access for administrators. 16. You are conducting forensic analysis on a Windows system and need to examine the master file table, MFT. What information can you extract from the MFT? A. Only currently existing files. B. File metadata, including timestamps, file names, and deleted file records. C. User passwords and credentials. D. Network connection history. 17. You observe that an attacker has modified the Windows registry key HKLM software Microsoft Windows current version run. What is the attacker's most likely objective? A. To disable Windows Defender. To establish persistence and ensure malware runs at system startup. C. To escalate privileges to system. D. To disable logging and monitoring. 18. In response to an incident, you need to contain a compromised system while preserving evidence. What is the best approach? A. Immediately power off the system. B. Isolate the system from the network, but keep it running. C. Reboot the system into safe mode. D. Run a full antivirus scan immediately. 19. An attacker has used a pass-the-hash PTH attack in your Windows environment. Which authentication protocol vulnerability does this exploit? A. Kerberos ticket forwarding. B. NTLM authentication using password hashes instead of plaintext passwords. C. LDAP bind operations. D. OAuth token validation. 20. You discover that an attacker has disabled Windows event logging on compromised systems. Which event ID indicates this activity? A. Event ID 1102. Audit log cleared. B. Event ID 4064, successful logon. C. Event ID 4688, process creation. D. Event ID 5140, network share accessed. 21. During incident response, you need to determine if a suspicious executable is malicious. What is the best first step? A. Execute the file in the production environment. B. Calculate the file hash and check it against threat intelligence databases. C. Delete the file immediately. D. Email the file to vendors for analysis. 22. An attacker has exploited CVE 21.44228 log shell. What type of vulnerability is this? A. SQL injection. B. Remote code execution via JNDI injection in Java logging library. C. Cross-site scripting. D. Buffer overflow. 23. You are investigating suspicious PowerShell activity. Which PowerShell command line flag is commonly used by attackers to evade detection? Execution policy bypass. B. C. Window style hidden. D. All of the above. 24. An attacker has exploited a zero-day vulnerability in your organization. According to incident response best practices, what should be your first action after detection? A. Publicly disclose the vulnerability. B. Contain affected systems and notify relevant stakeholders. C. Attempt to patch all systems immediately. D. Wait for vendor guidance before taking action. 25. An incident handler needs to analyze malware behavior without executing it directly. What type of analysis is this? A. Dynamic analysis. B. Static analysis. C. Behavioral analysis. D. Heuristic analysis. 26. You discover that an attacker has created a golden ticket attack in your Active Directory environment. What critical piece of information did the attacker obtain? A. Domain administrator password. B. Char BTT count password hash. C. Local administrator password. Service principal name SPN. 27. During incident triage, you need to prioritize multiple security alerts. Which factor should have the highest priority? A. Number of systems affected. B. Potential impact to critical business operations. C. Ease of remediation. D. Age of the vulnerability. An attacker is using a technique called token impersonation to escalate privileges. Which Windows feature is being abused? A. User account control. B. Access tokens that represent user security context. C. BitLocker encryption. D. Windows firewall rules. 29. You need to analyze a memory dump from a compromised Windows system. Which tool is specifically designed for memory forensics? A. Wireshark. Volatility. C. Imager. 30. During incident response, you observe encoded PowerShell commands using base 64. What is the primary reason attackers use encoding? A. To compress the payload. B. To evade signature-based detection. C. To improve execution speed. To encrypt communications. 31. You are investigating a security incident where an attacker has exploited a vulnerable service on port 445. The attacker used Eternal Blue to gain initial access. What type of vulnerability was exploited? Cross-site scripting XSS. B. SQL injection in web application. C. SMB protocol vulnerability allowing remote code execution. D. DNS amplification attack.